My family and I went to Ashton Gardens at Thanksgiving Point last year, and I found this black-eyed Susan, and that was the inspiration for the one I put on the sampler. I fell in love with it, and I feel like it's gonna turn out so pretty when it's stitched. So let's do that together. I'm gonna start by adding some French knots in the middle with two different colors. So I'm starting with my lightest color, brown, adding my French knots to the middle with a size 5 embroidery needle and 3 strands of thread. Now that I've got my first set of French knots, I'm going to go in with the darker shade of brown and fill the rest of the center with French knots using this darker shade. And I'm still using that size 5 embroidery needle with 3 strands of embroidery thread. Okay, now that all my French knots are finished, I'm going to start on the petals, and I'm going to begin by adding some straight stitches around the very bottom point of each petal with yellow thread. So I'm using 2 strands of my yellow thread, and for this I'm using a size 10 embroidery needle. Now this is just going to help us in the end to make sure that the petals don't blend together. On the next step we'll be adding some little red stripes at the base of the petals, and it's easy for the petals to blend together when we do that. So I'm going to add these little straight stitches first to prevent all the petals from blending in together at the end. Some of these I did a split stitch, some of them I did a straight stitch. It doesn't really matter, they just need to be there to differentiate between the petals. Okay, now still using that same size 10 embroidery needle, I've now got 2 strands of this lighter red embroidery thread, and I'm going to use a satin stitch to add the red portion at the base of each flower petal, and I'm going to be sure and do this in between the yellow stitches I made in the previous step. And now for the final touch, I'm still using that same size 10 embroidery needle, and I'm finishing everything off with a satin stitch. I've got 2 strands of my yellow embroidery thread that I used in the third step, and I'm finishing off with a satin stitch. So I'm making my satin stitching lengthwise of the petal, bringing all of my satin stitching starting toward the top edge of each petal and bringing it in toward the center. And here's our finished Black-Eyed Susan. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope to see you again next time, and let me know if you try out the stitches. Thank you.